Alright, hello everybody. I am new to this, so pardon me if I mess anything up, but I'm making this video for beginners to kind of help them out. I've looked around for hours and hours on help with Russian Fishing 4 and could not find anything that was more recent. Like, all I could find is stuff that was around 5 months old or better, so I'm making this for everyone to kind of bring them up to speed. I will be doing this probably once every week or two, just to let you know how things are going for me and the things that I've found, tips and tricks, things of that nature. So moving forward, people that are curious about the game and want to get into it, they'll be able to. Hopefully they'll be able to save a lot more money than I did. I learned the hard way and I've wasted quite a bit of money, but now that I know what's going on, I can help everybody else out. So, without further ado, as you can see, I am actually at what's called the Cottage Pond. This is where your intro is when you first come into the game, and it tells you the basics of walking and fishing and all that good stuff. This is going to be your best friend for a long time. And the reason is because when you're starting out, as far as gear is concerned, the stuff that you get given to you is more than fine for Mosquito Lake. So the thing that I want to talk about is, if you go up to the house here, if you look, you can either get spare float tackle, or you can get spare spinning tackle. Now, like I said, this is going to be your best friend, because that way, if your stuff breaks, whether it be the float tackle or the spinning tackle, you can come back here and you can get a free float or spinning setup at no cost to you. I highly recommend using this. Now, just to give you an idea, I'm going to go ahead and get the spinning tackle set that you can get for free, just because I do a lot of spin fishing. So I'm going to go ahead and get that. Now, it says succeeded at the bottom there, which is perfect. That means you got it. Now, one thing it gives you is this vintage reel. It is old and it clicks, just to let you know. So if you don't like the clicking on it, that's fine. What I recommend is, if you don't like the clicking on this one and the fact that it's 50%, go ahead and stick with the Express Fishing Spark 2000. I have a 3000 here, but just go ahead and stick with that 2000. It works just fine. You're going to get your max cast distance, and it works great grinding at Mosquito. You'll probably be there for just a little bit if you don't go ahead and pay for premium. So, now that we got that covered, I also want to let you know that you get this old spinning rod with the free gear. It's perfectly fine, again, for Mosquito. I actually prefer it over the Corona, just because I'm old school and I like the old-fashioned look of it and everything, so I stuck with this. I can tell you I've broken several of these catching bigger fish, which is fine. I just came back here, got a new one. Now, just to let you know that you can do this once per day in game. So once a day you can go back and you can replace, your spinning gear or your float gear, depending on what you're using and what breaks. So there is a time limit with it, so you can't just go ahead, pick up the spare gear, go out on mosquito, hit a big fish, break your stuff, and come right back and get it again. It's going to make you wait for what's considered a full day in game before you can replace it. So just wanted to get that out of the way for you. And then, like I said, I still have my Corona S60L. That works as well. It's definitely a good pull for mosquito as well. So you can go ahead and use that too. Also, as you can see, I bought a couple extra poles, but the telescopic one, even the bamboo one, they both work perfectly well. It's just that they're different lengths, so you're going to be able to cast out a little bit different. Another thing that you do get along with that free gear is the USSR old fishing line. It's perfectly fine to use if you need to use it. However, I've found with like the generic super line that you get, I was able to keep that without a problem and just use that the whole time. It is cheap, so I bought some more and I just stuck with it instead of using the old fishing line, just so I knew I'd be able to go ahead and catch more fish. And then also something else it gives you is this USSR old spinning lure. I personally really like this lure. I have caught lots of fish on this. Don't be afraid by any means to do some spin fishing on mosquito. There's a spot that I'm going to show you here in a second that I found after the tutorial that I really liked, and I was able to catch pike on spinning, actually this particular lure, and also had some big pike that bit through my line as well. Also another lure that was able to get me some pike and some cutoffs is this tiger lure. I really like it. It's kind of a go-to of mine, especially when I'm hunting pike. It's been solid for me. Now, one thing I want to let you know is that you can go from my suggestions, try those, see if they work for you. However, one thing I do recommend to you, especially once you're high enough level to get to the next spinning area, which is Balea River, there the dynamics completely change as far as like retrieval speed of your lure, the type of gear you're gonna want, stuff like that. So that's gonna be on a totally different one, which I'll be there to show you. But like I said, for now, these are my recommendations just on mosquito to kind of get you built up. Also, another one that I liked using was this 7-gram Dragonfly Stream. This one I liked using as well. It would catch me some pike and other fish on mosquito when I did spinning. Now, just to let you know, we'll get into it in another discussion, but basically you'll see like this one's 7 grams, this one's 10 grams, that one's 12 grams, etc., etc. There's different sizes, which we'll get into later on in my streams. If I do like double myself on certain information, again, I do apologize. I'm trying to get as much information out there as possible right now that's current, so that way hopefully I can help some people out. And then the same as well, there's different size hooks, different names of hooks, things like that, and we'll go ahead and discuss that at a later date. Now, one thing I do want to go ahead and show you, especially since this stream isn't going to be super long, is now that you got the general idea of the use of this house here at Cottage, and using it to your advantage so that way you don't have to spend money, is going to be huge. You want to save as much money as you can. So now we'll go ahead and get out of here. We'll go ahead and go to Mosquito Lake, and I'll show you the spot that I was talking about that I had found. This seemed to work really well for me. Now, from what I've discovered, being a higher level and going other places, looking at a lot of these older videos and stuff, they're like, go to this spot, this is great, or go to this spot and use this particular gear, etc., etc., and this retrieval speed and all this. It's helpful. However, I have started to find my own techniques and stuff that seem to work for me. Alright, so this is the dock that the intro will start you on to catch fish. Now, as far as this spot goes, that's fine. I did fish it for a long time until I found this other spot. I tend to get tired of staying in the same spot all the time. I like to move around and try to find other spots that work for me. So that's something I definitely recommend, is if there's a spot that you seem to like on the map, say for instance there's some bushes and some logs in the water or something, try it. Because you never know, you could wind up getting a really big fish that's worth quite a bit of money and experience. Like for example, if you go here, you can actually walk out on the boat and see there's a little fence in the water. That's something that you might want to try out. You could wind up getting a big fish off of it. I've tried it. I've caught a couple little ones and called it good. So now that you got a general idea of things here, we're going to go ahead and run on over to the spot that I would fish that seemed to get me some good fish here. Now, as far as targeting certain fish and things like that, I couldn't tell you much as of right now because there's nothing specific that I have tried targeting. My main goal was to catch as many fish as possible to get as much money as possible. So that's the way that I went about it. Same with my wife. She did the same thing. Try to catch numbers versus specifics, and it seemed to work out for us really well so far. We're almost there here. Sorry, it's a little bit of a jaunt to get there. Now, something else I want to mention that we happen to learn later on is a lot of these videos will tell you, well, go to these coordinates, go to those coordinates. And at first, we weren't sure what they meant. Well, now that I know, just by trial and error, if you look at the bottom right there where you have your little arrow, those numbers, those are your coordinates. So if you go look up somebody else's videos or things like that, pay attention to that, and that will show you where they're at, because sometimes they don't even mention where they're at, or it will just have music and it'll show them fishing. So look at those coordinates. You can go ahead and try that area, see if that works for you. So these are the coordinates where I'm located on Mosquito right now, 9880. This is where my wife and I would fish, and we seem to get quite a few fish here, and decent size as well. Now, what I would do when I was spin fishing here, I'll show you for example, is I would go ahead and I would cast off to the left here, like this, and go ahead and bring it in at a retrieval speed of 16, as you can see right there. And just slowly bring it in, and look, I actually caught one. So you can see it actually working while you're watching the video. Oh, it looks like a little perch here. Yep. So we caught a little perch off the lure that I'm using currently. And I'll get into more specifics about lures and the names and all that other good stuff later. But so there you go. That's basically what you want to do here when you're spin fishing. When you're float fishing, obviously something that seemed to work best for me is either regular worm or maggot. Maggot seemed to work really well for all the different species in the water here, whether it be a random carp, or it'd be bream, or it'd be, bluegill. Sometimes, you'd get just random different types of fishes. I don't remember all the fish that you can catch here. But, yeah, maggot seemed to do really well for me. Another thing that seems to do all right from time to time is castor. Or, sorry, yeah, my wife reminded me, they're not bluegill, they're called perch. But they look like a bluegill to me, so sorry about that. Now, as far as, like I said, the baits were concerned, regular worms seem to work well for us. Maggots seem to work really well for me. From time to time, castor, this is castor, it would seem to work fairly well. Same with the bark beetle larva. There'd be times where it was just amazing. You could catch fish after fish, and then it just die, and you couldn't catch anything off of it. So, like I said, just experiment, try different things, see what fits you best. Again, wet bread. Wet bread, it seemed like at certain times it would work really well, and then other times it wouldn't work at all. So that's kind of up to you, what you want to do as far as your baits and things of that nature. Now, as you can see, I got a lot of stuff in here. One mention I will make to you, I don't have one in my inventory currently, but there is a fairly cheap starting bait pack that you can get. I'll actually go show it to you here really quick. Let me put this away. That I found extremely useful, and it will save you a ton of money as far as baits go, like the castor, for instance. The castor, if you get it just by itself, if I remember right, is pretty steep for 30 pieces. Steep enough to where actually this bait starting set is actually a way better way to go if you want that particular bait. I think total, while I was here, I bought 3 of them, and there's only a couple different baits that I actually went through quite a bit at the time, and it wasn't even the most expensive ones that come out of that starter set. It was the more general ones that usually come out of the starter set. So we'll go to baits here. If you click on baits, here's the bait kit. And if you look at it, it's only 11 silver, 90 copper. So if you bring this up, this shows you what it has. It comes with regular worm, bloodworm, maggot, castor, and then the bark beetle larva. Alright, so for instance, like I was talking about, the castor, if I remember right, it's pretty expensive just by itself. So each one of these you get 30 pieces. Now let's go ahead and find that nature castor by itself for 30 pieces. Now see right here, for 30 pieces of just a nature castor, it's almost 43 silver versus basically 12 silver in the kit. So you're saving a ton of money right there. And just like the bark beetle larva, that's 48, almost 49 silver for that. So you're looking at 80, almost 90 silver between those two but you can get them in the starter pack for 12. That's huge, and that's what you want to do is play smart, save that money. Now, also just let you know while I'm here, as you can see, there's leeches here. You can only use gold to get those. And there's a few other baits that are the same, where you can only use gold to purchase the baits. Now, something that I learned that I wish I would have known sooner is that if you look, like I have 1,062 silver, I don't have any gold, and say I wanted these leeches. Well, I could go ahead and use real money and purchase that gold, or there's a little trick here. Okay, there's an ATM. If you go to the ATM, see, I could turn 1,000 silver that I have into 9 gold and 70 copper, or bronze, or whatever they would call it. But it's 9.7 gold. So I could get 9.7 gold right now, and I'd be able to buy those leeches if I wanted them. However, currently, as you can see, I'm level 21, and so far I haven't had a need for any bait that's strictly for gold. There's plenty of other things out there that you can get with your silver that you collect that work, plenty fine. Granted, you might not get any monstrous trophies or anything like that, but as long as you're catching good sized fish pretty frequently, you're going to see your money grow fairly quick. It just depends on, the time that you invest in it, which is probably going to be a lot. This is definitely a game where it takes a lot of investing to play this game. There's a lot of content. Now, something I can let you know as of currently that we've found as well is, as far as the content is concerned, there's a lot of people that will tell you to go to like, say, this specific spot on Mosquito, and then go to this specific spot on Winding Rivulet, and then go to this specific spot on Blair River, and so on and so forth. And that's great. Just take it with a grain of salt. And the reason is because I don't want you to be like me and think, oh, awesome, I'm going to catch all these big fish and I'm going to make all this money. And you go by someone's suggestion and you get exactly the same setup they had with the same baits and rods and reels and everything, and you go out there and then you spend the whole in-game day fishing and you get one little tiny fish. It's extremely frustrating. And that's what we have went through a lot of, is, I always research my stuff before I start playing it. I want to try and arm myself as well as I can, so that way the game is enjoyable. Now, this game is definitely enjoyable, especially if you love reel fishing. It's the most realistic fishing game that's out there. I've played all of them, and this is the closest you can get. So it definitely is the most enjoyable, I think, out of the bunch. However, like I said, don't look at all this stuff online and think that you're going to go out there and you're going to conquer the lake right off the bat, because that's not the case. Just recently, fishing on Blea, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you a little story. So Blea became my favorite place to fish because I found out you can make some really good money there. So I took the information I got from several different videos as well as postings from forums and things of that nature. And I was like, okay, so I got all this information. I'm going to go ahead and buy a few different lures and things of that nature and see what happens. So I wound up blowing probably about 700 or 800 silver on, these different lures and stuff like that. And come to find out that the lures that I originally had at the start of the game were producing better fish than some of these newer lures that I went out and dropped a ton of money on, and all this fancy bait and hooks and all that stuff. So like I said, you just got to take the whole game with a grain of salt. It's a lot of seek and find. It's a lot of research. It's a lot of patience. So, I mean, that's part of the fun of this game, is the fact that you do have to do research. You do have to, pay attention to weather at times and find out what's working for you, what's not working for you. It seems to be different for everybody. Like example, my wife on Blair River, somehow, for some reason, she's able to catch Xander. I have not been able to catch one Xander. I've done exactly the same thing she has. I was at the exact same coordinates and everything, and I could not catch a Xander. So, again, I just want you guys to know this up front, so you're not all excited and gung-ho and think, oh, this game's going to be fun because I'm going to catch a ton of fish and this and that. No, it's actually, there's a lot of work that you do have to put into it. If you're willing to invest the time in the game, in the long run, it is going to make it more enjoyable. So I definitely recommend, spending the time, being patient, researching things, and you're going to get the most out of the game. So it's going to be a definite win. Let me go ahead and turn in the fish that I have. I didn't realize I had any fish in my keep net, but for example, see, I got some brown trout here and some perch. That was from Belaya. I'll go ahead and get rid of those just so they don't spoil. That's one thing too, is when you do catch fish, if you're having a really good day and you want to fill up your 100 spots in your backpack, go for it. I definitely recommend it, so that way you got some money. However, just make sure, my biggest recommendation would be, is if you got a bunch of fish in your backpack and you need to head out to go to work or something, is going on and you need to leave, make sure that you go to the fish market or the cafe, depending, and go ahead and get rid of those fish out of your backpack, because they do decay. So you got to be really careful with that. If they reach 0%, then they are worth a lot less. So I highly recommend making sure that you take those fish that are still fresh and go ahead and get those sold, so that way you can get the maximum amount of money off of them. So I just want to go ahead and show you one last thing here before we call it good. Now here on Mosquito, for example, there's a place here where you can eat. As you can see here, I'll try to get it to where you can see it better maybe. Okay, it says hot food here. There, see how it says hot food there? E is eat. Go ahead and hit that button. Use this to your advantage too, to keep up your coziness, or your comfort is what they call it now, and to keep up your energy. that's a big thing too, because you will use energy fighting the fish. Like I said, this is a pretty realistic game. So you definitely want to make sure you keep up your energy, keep up your comfort, because if you're not comfortable, you will slowly start losing energy. And if all of a sudden you hook into a big fish and you have no energy, it's going to take you a lot longer to fight it to get it in, or because your energy is so low, you could possibly lose it. So, other than that, hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, it is my first one. I hope that in the future the videos will get a little bit better. I would definitely appreciate if you could like and subscribe. It would be appreciated, and that way hopefully later on I can get some sponsorship and I can start doing this on a more regular basis for you guys and try to keep this updated as much as possible. I would love to be able to get to the point to where I have some sponsors and things, so that way I could go ahead and start bringing you daily content on a regular basis, and be able to even upgrade some of my equipment, like my microphone, for example. Get a nice desk microphone that's going to sound good and clear for y'all. Things like that. So again, I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and check out this video. Hopefully it helps. If it does help, go ahead and drop some comments in the comment section below and just let me know how you're doing, where you're at, maybe what gear you're using, what baits, what lures, things like that. We'll try to make this a communicative effort for everybody, so that way hopefully everybody can enjoy a good experience on this game, and maybe later on down the road, we can all get together in the game and just hang out, fish together, and talk about all the big old fish that we caught, way back when we didn't know anything. So again, it was a pleasure. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope you all have a good rest of your day. Take care now. Peace.